Let's see. All right. Okay. And let's see. There we go. And we're on. All right. Thanks for joining us for Nothing is OB Golf Podcast. I got a very special guest with us tonight. I have Jerry Mulder, Mr. Rooter of San Antonio, Mr. Rooter Plumbing of San Antonio.
Yeah.
Now, Jerry is the title sponsor or Mr. Rooter of San Antonio Plumbing, or Mr. Mr. Rooter Plumbing of San Antonio is the title sponsor for the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour Series. How you doing tonight, Jerry?
I'm doing great, Andy. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm super pumped up. Well, I'm going to tell you something first here. Now, I'm still pissed off at you because you took $30 from me the last time we matched up against each other. And so I said, you know what? I haven't even been out on the course at the same time with you. I said, so you're on my list next. Jerry. You're on my list.
I bet you that was before I had my knee surgery. So now's a good time to get me if you want to get me.
Did you have another knee surgery?
Well, I had my left knee replacement surgery. So I'm thinking that when you and I played, it was prior to that because I haven't been playing all that good since.
No, it was the Good Friends tournament at TPC.
So was that this year or was it?
Yeah, it was this year.
Okay.
I think we played. It was the Canyons course.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been doing this. My game has been up and down, but it's fun. It's addicting, right?
Oh my gosh! You know what? I had shot a decent round. Or not a decent round. It was a great round. We had a fantasy draft. What we did is we had a tournament or not a tournament. We just kind of had like a 2-man scramble at Golf Club of Texas. And we had a great freaking deal out there that my buddy who runs the league, it was $85 for a round of golf, our beers throughout the course. And then when we got back inside, it was unlimited wells, unlimited draft beers.
Yeah, there you go.
2 entrees and 2 appetizers, all for $85.
I can't beat that.
We did it. It beat us.
Yeah.
Well, I got Jerry on tonight because we have a big tournament, as you can see right here at the bottom of the ticker. There's a big tournament going on for the Alan McFarland Memorial Tournament this Thursday. Now, Jerry, I know you're hosting it. I'm dedicating this episode in Alan's memory because Alan was an awesome dude. And if you could tell us just a little bit about your and Alan's relationship.
Well, Alan was very interesting. He was, to say the least, right? He was one of these guys that, in fact, if I hadn't known Alan, I wouldn't know you guys, and I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know the Pan American Golf Association, any of those fine guys. He never met someone that he was afraid to bet. If you knew Alan, you knew if he heard somebody say something he thought was outrageous, it was like, I'll put 100 on that. So Alan was never, and he loved poker. He got me going to rounders. I don't know if I can say that or not.
Hey, nothing is OB, Jerry. Nothing is OB.
Okay, that's right. A couple of the card houses here in town, he got me playing at, and I really, really enjoyed that. I love playing cards, but Alan was, he was interesting. I played with him and got paired with him several times, and with the exception of one time, I never really saw him down on the golf course. He was, he always stayed upbeat. I know there was one time in particular where he was really he was competing for a spot, and he felt like he just let himself down. He played, all he had to do was play shoot to his handicap. And he just blew up that day, and he beat himself up a little bit, but he got over it just as fast. And that's, I really appreciated the fact that he was brutally honest with me. I will say that. Growing up, I've always had a tough time letting guys, get close to me as far as, very real strong relationships, just from stuff that happened in my past way long time ago. But I did let Alan get close to me, and we got to be pretty good friends, and it was sad. It was very, very sad to see him lose that battle with cancer.
Now, I only saw y'all for the most part. You trail guys from afar, and I think one of my first memory of Alan was we were at San Pedro, and I'm not too sure if you were there at San Pedro. Everyone was watching the Tiger Woods Phil Mickelson match. And Alan's over there hey, he's getting lit up. He's taking bets from any
Yeah.
and everybody. And I'm just, my buddy and I are watching, and we're sitting from afar, and I said, we know Jeff, our buddy Jeff.
Yeah.
That was my connection to the group, to the Nola Asa Sunday group.
Sure.
And, Jeff introduced me, and first thing he said, hey, you want a hundy on this shot? And I'm like, I just met you, dude. I'm like, man. And I would say he wasn't maybe a big man in stature, a wide guy, and which I could really relate to. And so I'd say one of the last rounds that competitive rounds that I saw him play was he was in the group behind us, and we were at Riverside, and it was the par 3 on the back part, not 17, but the one prior to that. I think it was maybe like 13, if I'm not mistaken, 13, 14.
Let's see, Riverside. The last par 3.
No, the second to last par 3.
That's 15, I think.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, 15, because 16 is the par 5, right? Well,
yes.
Okay, so we're at that part that we're at 15, and he's giving me crap about my handicap. And I said, Alan, right before I hit my shot, I said, Alan, hey, he goes, hey, readjust. And I said, Alan, you do whatever the hell you want to do. Well, sure enough, I freaking stick it in within 5 feet, and he goes, oh yeah, we're definitely readjusting it. And so I'm like, one of the last things he did is he readjusted my damn handicap, and I'm like, man, what a freaking scumbag, man.
That was funny too, because as fast as your handicap drops when you're playing in some of these leagues, and Alan was, I don't know what his title was or how he got that position there with Pan Am and Noli Ase, but he was always working, the guy helping the guys with the handicaps and stuff like that. And I accused him a few times of sabotaging my handicap, but yeah, they never go down. They never go up. They always go down.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that was my lasting memory of him. And I was like, you know what? He probably loves that was my lasting memory of him.
I would say the funniest memory I have, and I'll always keep this is just to the day I die. We were playing together, and we were playing at Olympia Hills, and we were on, oh my gosh, what's the hole that goes out towards I-35 that they've shortened?
It used to be a par 5. Now it's a par 4.
Okay,
so hold on. So
two holes beyond that, you've got a par 4 that has trouble all down the right side. I want to say that is 16 now. 16.
Okay, yeah, 16, because it's like the range is at the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the range is at the end.
Dog leg.
Yes.
To the right.
To the right. Yes.
We get down there by the green, and I'm on the right side of the green in a bunker. Alan's on the other, complete opposite side of the green, and that's a big green. And he's on the other side. We both missed the green, obviously. And I don't practice out of the trap, and like most people should. It is my worst shot by far, is a bunker shot. And I tell everybody, okay, heads up, I don't know where this is going to go. And Alan is just dead straight across from me. And I hit a bullet. I bladed this shot out of this bunker, and it is just sizzling right at Alan. And everybody knows that if you knew Alan, you know how big he is. I would have never thought this guy could move as fast as he could move. And he dives and does the Superman dive, and he is like parallel, or he's horizontal, man. He's just out there. The problem is, if he'd have just stayed where he was, because my ball had a little bit of a fade to it, a little slice to it, he dives right into the ball, and I hit him
right into the ball,
and I hit him right in the ass. And it was the fun. And if you knew how Alan was, he wore me. I felt so bad at the time. I run over there. He laid on the ground and played it up and everything. And he made me feel bad for a good 5 minutes, but then he let me off the hook. But gosh, you had to see it. It was funny as all get out. But that's going to be my everlasting moment with Alan for sure. Funniest moment anyway.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the tournament, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. So why don't you tell us a little bit of your golf testimony, how you came up in this game of golf?
Sure. I, back in 2001, my wife and I had a plumbing business that was different from Mr. Reuter Plumbing here in San Antonio. We had a plumbing business. We started it in 94, and we were doing pretty good, and I got hurt back in 2001, the summer. In fact, it was right at the time of our anniversary in July of 01, just shortly before the towers fell, and a few months. And anyway, long story short, I get hurt on the job site and ended up getting misdiagnosed. I got rushed to the hospital, and I heard my back pop. I knew I broke my back when it happened. And I got rushed to the hospital. The guy's doctor. I never saw a doctor. I saw a physician's assistant, and they say, "Hey, 3 days bed rest, you'll be fine. You just strained it." So 2 days later, I can't get out of bed. I can't walk. I can't do anything. I'm literally numb from the waist down. My mother-in-law is a registered nurse. She calls a doctor friend of hers, a neurosurgeon, and he says, "Get him over to the specialties and trauma hospital, and we'll check him out." Well, they try to get me. They wheeled out a gurney, basically, out of because they took me out of the vehicle, right, and put me on a gurney. And he walked out and he started poking me, and he said, get him in now." So they had to do emergency surgery, did a low back fusion, and so I can relate with what Tigers had to deal with, right? So I'm locked in place since July of 2001. L304, L405, L5S1. I'm fused.
Wow.
So when you see me, you'll see that I don't have I don't have much of a backswing. I generate all my power. I get as far back as I can where it's controlled, and then I just try to come through it. But while I was down and rehabbing, I decided to go back to school and get my degree. Well, I was taking a course at SAC, a kinesiology class, and the professor says, "Yeah, we're going to do some golf for the next couple of weeks." And I love golf, and I was self-taught, pretty much picked up an old set of clubs that my uncle gave me. I wish I'd learned it early in life, but I was 27 when I started playing the game. Well, and that was 1989 when I picked up the game. And so that tells you how old I am.
So you're
I'm an old man.
So you're late bloomer. You're late bloomer. That's what you're saying.
Very late bloomer. I played all these sports. I was track, baseball, football, you name it. I could play it and loved it and was very competitive. I'll beat you at ping pong right now. No,
I'm not much of a ping pong player. Like I'm scrappy, but I don't care. Like if someone's good, I said, hell yeah, I'll play you, but you're gonna whip my ass, but I'll fight you to the death.
Exactly. That's a guy thing, I think. But so while I'm helping, we get out there. The professor says we're going to meet at San Pedro, and this was long before the remodel at San Pedro. So we get out there. Nobody knows anything about golf. Not one student, not the professor, nobody. So I go up to the professor. I said, "Do you want some help with this?" So I ended up helping teach this class. Well, a few classes in, this guy, he walks up to me and says, "Man, you're pretty good. You ought to look at this." And he gives me information to the Golf Academy. And back then it was called the San Diego Golf Academy. And I ended up going out to the Arizona campus and going and doing their program. And the thing that I kept thinking was that this was going to be a stepping stone to get into the PGA, to get my Class A. Well, little did I know at the time that really everything I was doing is stuff that would, if you were in a PGM program, say at Sam Houston State University or whatever, that all those hours would go towards your acquiring that Class A license. Well, at the time, they were not accepting any of our hours.
Oh,
so this was an associate's degree. So I'm taking 19 hours a semester. I'm cramming this degree into a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. First time I've ever been away from my family. So you're gone like 3.5 months. You get to come home for 3 weeks. Then you're gone for 3.5 months. It was the toughest thing I ever did in my life. And I'm renting a room in a house full of guys, which was cool. I was kind of like the house dad, 'cause I'm the oldest guy there. Yeah. It was fun. It really was. I had really, really had a good time. I learned a lot. I passed the PAT that they put on there when I graduated. I wanted to graduate with with everything they offered. I graduated with honors. I graduated with a 2.4 handicap. I had passed their PAT. So I felt confident that when I came out, I was going to go and do the PGA's, PAT, and no problem. But, I graduated in 05, December of 05. The first job that I got out was at the old Austin Country Club, which was so cool. It's a muni, I guess. It's part of the Austin Community College circuit now, but it's where Harvey Pinnock lived. He lived on the golf course until they moved the Austin Country Club to the new location, which is amazing, by the way. But
oh yeah,
Tom Kite and Crenshaw, they played and they kind of honed their game there. There was a lot of history there. I really liked it, and I loved being there. Got a lot of experience. I was the first assistant there, and then an opportunity came at the beginning of 2007 to go to work at Canyon Springs. And of course, I'm driving to Austin 6 days a week. So yeah, I'm taking it,
Yeah. Canyon Springs here in San Antonio.
Yes. And at the time, Wilderness Oak didn't go all the way through. So there was only one way to get there. It was off the beaten path. And I went to work there. I became the first assistant there. And strangely enough, Andrew Peterson was the head pro. And Andrew Peterson now runs the Alamo City Golf Trail.
Yeah, he's the president. He's president of the trail.
Yeah, it's a small world. It really is. And and being able to be a sponsor of this amateur golf here in San Antonio and work with Andrew and his people. And strangely enough, while I'm there at Canyon Springs, and this is all of 2007 and around into the beginning, I think it was February of 08 when I left, Travis Salkowski, he's running the tour. He's been running the tour for several years now. He was interning from college. He was from, Wisconsin. He's coming down to San Antonio to intern, so he can get his Class A. And that's where I met Travis. So it really is a small world. The golf business has been it's been good to me, but at the same time, I've met some struggles as far as the money. It's just, it's you gotta be a younger guy. I had a family. I didn't want to pick them up and move to another part of the United States. We were settled here in San Antonio. We liked it here, and so I had to move away from it as far as full time and earning a living and get back in full time into plumbing.
Now, working with Andrew and working with Travis, how would you say your relationship is with them today?
I'd say it's great. I got to know them, and I know that they're good guys. They really are. Andrew at the time too, he was dealing with some health issues way back then. I think he had problems with his kidneys or something, and thank God he's gotten over that. And I got to meet his wife. They're good people, and I've gotten to know Travis really, really well. Him and his family, wife and daughter, they're good people. I can't say enough good about both of them.
Well, my first interaction with Andrew was I saw him at Brack one time. I was meeting some guy there to buy a putter, and I was there on the putting green, and I just see somebody come in with a briefcase, and I see him go right to the green because I know they had just aerated the greens. And he goes up there and he puts his hand down, and he just puts his hand down, and he's touching the practice putting green, and he's just like shaking his head as he goes into the clubhouse. And then I met him at that same tournament that we were at Canyons, at one of those Good Friday tournaments, and I see this couple coming off 18 from the Oaks.
They were walking.
Yeah, they were walking.
Yes, that was him and his wife.
Yeah, and I saw this couple, and they were drenched. I mean, they were drenched.
Both
right?
of them beat
drenched.
red.
Yeah, and
yes.
I was just like, I said, hey, are you Andrew Peterson? And we hit it. We talked. He was a great guy. He's all for what I'm doing, and he's a good dude. He's a good dude. They seem like good people. But I was just like, I mean, your wife works, for the TPC, and y'all are walking. They're walking 18. I said, you're crazy, you know.
She's Class A pro as well, Sorrel, and she was working. I want to say she was at Silverhorn back when I was working with Andrew at Canyon Springs, but she's since moved and is now, I believe, still with TPC.
Oh, that's the best of both worlds right there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's funny enough because I got hurt again later in life. I get hurt. Most of my friends know back in 2008, I suffered a really traumatic auto accident. I got hit head on by an 18-wheeler out on 1604. He was driving the wrong way on 1604. He was
Oh
drunk.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
So, and really, as far as my brain goes, I mean, there's probably a 2-year period, probably a little more than 2 years, where I can't, there's nothing there. I just couldn't tell you who I was, so coming out of the fog was really eye-opening. So, pardon the pun, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you, I took a job at TPC when they first opened TPC. My kids took a job at the pool. They were lifeguards when they were opening the facility. Great facility, and I knew they were going to start. They were going to move the Texas Open over there, so they were looking for people to be what they call course advisors, a starter, marshal, course advisor. So I got a job over there, and it was fantastic. You talk about good people. Those people over at TPC. Jeremy was at the time was the head pro. Tommy Parkinson, he's still there. Great people, and man, I really liked it. It was cool because they'd work us about 20 hours a week or so, and they were paying us like $10 an hour or something, which I really didn't care about the money. I was kind of semi-retired. I'm beat up and everything, but I could play. If there wasn't a tournament or there wasn't anything going on, there were 2 courses there, and we could play. We could play those courses as much as we wanted. And my son could come up there. If I was getting off at like 1:00, my son could come up and he could play. I think at the time they were only charging like $25 for my son. So here he is warming up on a championship facility, driving, range, waiting for his dad to get off work so we could go out and play, what the pros get to play every week. It's kind of cool.
It's amazing. That's now I'm even more jelly of you now than before. I mean, shoot, you can play. I mean, hey,
golf's been good to me.
Yeah. Hey, well, you whooped my ass the last time. Like, I think you said you're having an amazing round. I think you shot you shot 78 if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't shoot bad. I shot an 88, which I didn't think was bad for the canyons. But then you're like, oh, Andy, well, I got you by 10 strokes then, and I'm like, here you go. Here's the money.
I had a good day. I have good and bad days. It's just weird. I'm not practicing enough, and we know you can't. Most humans aren't going to be good at golf if they don't go out and do some practicing. You can't get good through osmosis. But really, that's all I need to do. If I could spend some time practicing, I could be a lot better. This how funny this is. I watched your podcast when you were you did it when you came off the course or you played earlier at Landa.
Yeah.
You
heard my rant. You heard my rant.
Yes. I played that same day at Landa, and we were playing a money game, right? We weren't really shooting for scores. If it was, how those games are. You got to shoot birdie really, or so a lot of guys.
Did you play in Mike's game? Was that? Yeah, I think you were earlier though.
I was there, and I shot. I shot a 70. I was 5 over. I shot 76, and didn't win any money. I think, or maybe I won a little bit of money. I might have won something to, my money back or something. I don't know. Didn't win any money. But then here's the funny thing about golf and me in particular. I felt good. Like the next week, I think we had that Northern Hills tournament with Alamo City. I will tell you this. I didn't break. I'm not going to tell you what I shot, but
come on, man. It's for the people. I got hold on. I got people saying Jerry's the man. Great podcast, and I'm like, you don't really know. It was like you don't really know him.
This is golf. This is how humbling this sport is. I'm thinking but then again, didn't touch my clubs. Put them in the back of my truck. Didn't touch them until I pulled them out. I get it to Northern Hills. Hey, everybody wants to talk to me for a few minutes, so I don't get time to really concentrate on me. And I go out and fire 46, 46. That's me. That's me in my game right now. 7 days earlier, I shoot 75 on what I think is a harder golf course. Northern Hills, I don't think is as hard as Landa since the redo. And no, I just stunk it up.
Well, you say that how humbling of a game it is, but I think that's what kind of it draws us in. It draws us in because it can humble us, and it can also give us those false feelings of greatness where you're like, hey, I got this now. I got this down. And
it's the beauty of the game.
Oh,
it
yeah,
really is.
It is. Now, I always see you in all these different competitions that the trail has to offer. Now, I've always been so curious because one of my very first podcasts was with I had two managers. I called it Two Managers, One Podcast, and it was with Sully from Cedar Creek and Jesus from Riverside. And I know Sully had Alex Sullivan. I know he had been on several. Help me out here. Some competitions that y'all have, like you have these big teams where it's like a red versus blue or north versus south.
Well, they do the Harvey Pennant Cup, and then with Alamo City, I've been fortunate the last 3 years to make the team that represents San Antonio. It's a South Texas Match Play Championship, and the Alamo City's the tours tournaments that we play, you gain points just like the FedEx. You're playing on a point scale, and you're trying to be the spring season, the summer season. Last year we didn't have it. This year COVID has kind of wrecked everything. But the last few seasons we've had like Friday night game at San Pedro where you play the par 3, and whoever does, and I think that went from May to August. So whoever did best in that won a spot on the team. They took the top 3 finishers in the spring, the top 3 finishes in the summer. We're guaranteed a spot on this South Texas Match Play team to play Houston. And we'd go back and forth. We last year they played in Houston. This year they're coming to San Antonio. So it would go back and forth. And San Antonio has been dominating in that. Well, a lot of the guys that play Alamo City, they feel a lot of pressure to make that team. And there's a lot of honor. There's a lot of prestige, I think. And you get to represent San Antonio in amateur golf in a relatively unknown, golf tournament. Golf San Antonio, they're very powerful here, or, powerful, but they do most of amateur golf.
Yeah, the majority of the amateur tournaments here in town.
Yeah,
yes.
And they're great. Golf, and I like those people a lot, man. Golf San Antonio people, and now some of those guys are coming over and playing our events. Golf San Antonio is now recognizing the tour, the Alamo City Golf Tour, and letting those guys come and play some of our events to gain points for. That applies to them going to their Rudy's Cup team and stuff like the I-35 Cup, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, the Rudy's I-35 Cup.
Yeah.
Now, in seeing those, I remember I overheard you one time. I think I overheard you. It was like the very first time I played with you, and you were I think you were talking to Casey Graham, and you were saying, "Oh, I was telling Travis, you know what? Screw you, Travis. I'm gonna make the damn team on my own, not because I'm the title sponsor." I don't want no sponsors exemption.
Exactly. I wanted to make it. And, last year was really interesting because I had knee replacement surgery in November, and I scheduled that right after we got back from Houston. If I made the team, then I was going to, the surgery was going to happen right after we got back, which it did. But back in May of last year, a little over a year ago, I had this shoulder completely rebuilt. So you're like Robo Golfer, man. Yeah, I've had both shoulders redone. This left knee's replaced. My low back is fused, and my neck. When I had this shoulder done, at the same time they fused my neck. All this is because most of it, I should say, is because of the accident that happened with the 18-wheeler. But other than the low back, it's. I even came out. I needed to just appear at the last spring event, just show up and get participation points.
Yeah.
And I had just had my shoulder rebuilt. So I'm out there, literally, it's a 2-day event at Brack. I'm out there, and my plan was I could take the maximum off the tee. It was one of those events that Travis had put together, a 2-day event, and I could just hit the ball off the tee a foot and then pick up and say, give me the max. And, I did that the first hole, and then I thought to myself, you know what? I've never tried it, but let's see if I can at least make par, with one arm. So the 2 days that I played, I came so close on several holes to par one of those holes with one arm. I think I shot 134, 118 were my 2-day scores with one arm playing.
Hey, you improved.
I did. I improved. And on day 2, I came within one shot of of beating someone. So I'm glad I didn't beat him, because it would probably ran him away from the game.
It probably would have.
But that's how dedicated I was to I was to it, and I really wanted to be there, and I wanted to make that team. But that would guarantee me enough points to qualify for the playoffs. The points that I made in the spring would get me into the playoffs in October, just in case something happened. I had a bad summer or whatever with my shoulder, but it was fun times.
In any of those competitions, you've been on the winning side, obviously. Did that give you a really good sense of pride,
Sure.
for our city and for our golf here in town?
It did. And plus, golf is one of these things. One of the reasons I love it, like I said, I ran track, football, baseball. I played all these sports most of my life. Coached Little League, which I love. But golf is that sport that you can develop really, really good friendships, and you can network and get to know. I mean, you don't even have to really talk to someone. You can just watch them on the golf course and see what kind of individual they are. You can tell whether there's somebody you even want to be involved with, just by the way they carry themselves, by the way they conduct themselves, the language they use, and so on. I love golf. It's helped me to make some friends. It really has a lot of good friends. I thought I wouldn't have,
Well, I'll tell you, luckily enough, Jeff is really kind of opened me, Jeff Keeker. He's really helped me get into the more competitive golf side. Now, I joined the Golf Fellowship last year, and that was like my first taste of, somewhat competitive golf against others. And understanding that this past year or last year was the first year they did because now it's in it's in Austin, it's in Houston, Dallas, and obviously here in San Antonio. But they did like a cup, a Ryder style match cup. And I had qualified to make the team, but because I coach football and it was during like a football weekend, I said, I cannot go. And it eats me up to this day that I can't go. So I can kind of feel the sense of pride you have in making those teams, even though like for amateur guys like us. So you've been in the PGA program before. So, for me, it gives me like a lot of incentives to try to better my game.
I will say this, your reputation precedes you. And just like my in our plumbing life, my wife and my son are also owners in the Mr. Rooter Plumbing of San Antonio. Obviously, I'm the master plumber. I have the master license that any plumbing company in Texas needs. You have to have that responsible master. But I tell you, without a good solid team of people around you, it's just like Alamo City Golf Trail. Without a good team there, Andrew is going to have something that's not going to work. Mr. Rooter, same thing. You have to have, and you have to be good. You have to be right. And when I say right, you have to do the right thing. And sometimes it's just giving in a little bit. But golf is one of those things, just like business, that if people don't trust you, if people don't like you, because they don't trust you, that reputation will be stuck with you. We've all heard this. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy that everybody says, oh yeah, he cheats, or he's this, he's that.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
I call penalties on myself. I mean, we have to. That's what this game is about. Just like in our plumbing business, I would rather, if I pray that a customer, if they had a bad service call, God forbid it happened, but nobody's perfect and we make mistakes, but we own them. And that's what we have to do in life, right? I would rather go out to that customer's house, see what I can do to make it right. Anything that I can. I mean, I'd rather give them back their money, honestly, than to have them upset at me and blowing me up on the internet and saying these people are, crooks or this or that. So it's about taking care of people. And with golf and the amateur golf and helping to push this along for as long as we can, hopefully we can keep doing it. But amateur golf needs someone to help pump a little bit of money into it, different, facilities or whatever. And we take pride in it. We've been blessed, and we want to give back. We've got a little company. It's not a big company, and we're helping to keep, I guess we have 16 or 17 employees now. Like I said, very blessed, but by us being able to be a small business, we've got a place where people are coming to work and providing for their families, and that's helping San Antonio. So helping in that aspect, helping in amateur golf. I'm hoping that people understand who we are at Mr. Rooter, and who Jerry is, and who Jerry, Carla, Aaron, my whole family. We live by that. We got to do the right thing always. You got to play right. Play just like in life. Play it as it lies.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you can see it, but you gave me goosebumps right there, because this is why I do this. I do it for guys like you who are a title sponsor for municipal courses here in town. I think San Antonio's got a lot of good golf. I don't care if people get tired of hearing me say that. There's a lot of good golf. We are a destination location. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't know about that, and I don't think San Antonio gets their props like I think we should. And that's why I do this podcast. Yeah, I do this podcast. Really, a big reason is my dad. He's a Vietnam vet, and I think golf was his saving grace. I think without him knowing it, it was his form of therapy. Without knowing it all these years, I think this is how he coped when he came back from war. And it's a way for me. He lives in Corpus Christi. It's a way for me to stay close to him.
That's awesome.
That's why I do this stuff, man. Like, okay, we're gonna keep moving on.
Hey, by the way,
I'm getting motion on this.
Tell your dad thank you. We love our veterans. We appreciate our veterans, first responders, police.
Oh my gosh, man! Shoot, big time, man, big time. And I'm super thankful for his service. And I always tell him this. I said, we love him. I always tell my dad, thank you for your service. And my dad, like a true servant of the people, he said, don't thank me, Andy. It was my duty. And that's what he always says.
We're thankful that people like him thought that and think that, because those are the people that give us a chance to do what we're doing right now.
You know what? I totally agree. Yep. And I'm super thankful. But let's get back to a little bit lighter side. Okay. Thank you. You're giving me a big insight to who you are as a person. And I teach and coach. That's my profession. And I understand exactly what you mean by your work and the quality and how you treat people and how you do business, because I wish I can say every kid in my program that I've coached over 15 years had a great experience. But it doesn't always happen that way. But like you stated, you know what? Hey, give me a chance. It's not the old days anymore. You got a different type of kids. You can't coach every kid the same, but you could be fair with everybody, though. And exactly. I felt like some of the kids, I've had hard conversations with them and their parents. I think those that I've had is allowed me to grow as a coach and allowed me to help that young man or that young lady grow as a person. And I'm super thankful for it.
Well, and we're blessed, and whether people know it or not, guys like you that are doing stuff like, I loved it when I coached Little League. I coached it for many years. Same thing. I created a contract for the kids, and a contract after we had our draft in Little League. I'd call a team meeting, and the kids, I'd set them down, and the parents, I'd set them over there, and I'd have a little contract made for these kids, and the kids it was plain and simple. It's like, we're going to have fun. You're going to be better players at the end of the season than you were at the beginning, and you're going to listen to me, and then we're going to have fun. And then the parents, I told them, number one, your kids are going to have fun. Number two, I'm not a babysitter, but number three, be involved with your kids, but also know that when they're in my charge, I'm going to protect them with my life, and I'm going to share with them good things. Every year when we had the draft, when it was draft day and or when they were doing tryouts so we could do the draft, those kids would come up to me and they'd be around my legs and say, coach, you're going to draft me this year. You're going to draft. That gets out. So do what you're doing. And these kids, you'll get to the kids. You will get to them. Because I got to them. I didn't even know I was getting to them. And then all of a sudden I realized, hey, this is working. These kids, they're loving being out here, outdoors.
It's a great time. It's a great time to be in this game. Because there's a boom right now. I don't know if you see it.
We got to protect our kids and help our kids, and you're doing a great thing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm thankful to my parents that entrust me with their kids, because and nowadays in this crazy world, and I'm thankful for the job I have and the purpose I'm serving. I really feel like even though I'm helping these kids out a lot, man, they've given it all back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, if you could tell me on the little bit lighter side of golf, what's your favorite golf movie?
Oh man. You know, I would almost instinctively say Caddy. Everybody loves Caddyshack, right? And Tin Cup. Those are awesome. There's something about The Legend of Bagger Vance. I would say if that's not my favorite, it's got to be so close.
Captain Juna. Captain
yeah.
Juna.
Yeah. I really love The Legend of Bagger Vance. Very cool movie.
Out of that movie, who's your favorite character? Is it Artie? Is it Bagger? Is it Juna?
Oh man, I'll tell you.
They all complement each other very well. Though.
Yeah, they did. And you know, Artie, the little boy, right? Yeah. Artie, he did such a good job. I guess that was Jack Lemmon's character.
Yeah, character.
Right?
Yeah.
But Will Smith did such a fantastic job in that movie. Of course, Charlize. You know,
Aaron.
How do you not like her, right? You didn't mention her.
I know. Well, check this out. The fraternity, my fraternity that I belong to, Delta Sigma Phi. One of my brothers, Richard Broussard, he actually walked the red carpet with her in LA, gosh. And I was just like, "Hey, dude, details." And he's like, "Oh man, I was just really like her eye candy." He said that was about it, you know. And I was just like, "Oh, that's crazy." I'm jelly, you know. I'm jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely one of the I would say one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood for sure.
Oh gosh, definitely. But that's a great
South African too. African American. What are you gonna say? See, we're all alike.
Heck yeah, hey, yeah, y'all have the same complexion. Y'all have the same complexion.
That's right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that movie gave you a lot of golf, those feels that we as golfers at times go through in certain pressure situations, and you know, whether in our defeats and our victories. And so that's one of my favorite movies as well. With all the courses you've played at and worked at, which is your favorite course here in town?
Oh, there's some really good courses. Fantastic.
I just need one. You got to just give me one, though.
I would say I'm gonna give you one, but I got to give a quick reason why. I'm gonna say Willow Springs, and it's two reasons. I'm playing with my son, and I love playing with Aaron. He's such a good person. He's such a good golfer, and he is. I'm thinking 11, 12 years old, and we're at Willow. And we get to the fourth hole, par 3, the first par 3, and he hits a shot. We're playing the same tees. He hits a shot up onto that green, and he knocks it to like 6 inches.
Wow!
And we drive up there. He's all giggly and everything. And you're gonna give it to me. You're gonna give it to me if it's close. And he gets out of the cart and he runs up there, and he looks at me. He says, "You're gonna give it to me?" And I said, "No. If you want to make birdie on this hole." At the time, I had never birdied that hole myself. As many times I played that course, I'd never birdied that hole. So, and I didn't tell him that, but I said, "No, you got to make that putt."
Yes, so, I love it, Jerry. I love it.
He makes the putt, and I mean, he makes a beeline back over to the golf cart, and he's got my phone, and he's calling Mama, "Mommy, you're never gonna," you know. And he had bragging rights on that hole for probably maybe two or 3 years. Until one day I was playing out there, and I'm playing with 3 other guys, and I made a hole in one on that same hole. And up to that point, I had yet to birdie the hole, so I had a hole in one to beat him out as best score on that hole. And it was kind of strange, but yeah, it's one of my hole in ones. And so I'd have to say Willow, and that's why. But there's better golf courses. It's just the memory I have there with my son is what makes that one my favorite.
Man, dude, you're losing me over here, man. I'm better call my wife to bring me a box of tissues over here. Well, that's an awesome story. Were you happy or did you play the course prior to the renovations that they did to it way back when, as I guess they turned it around or whatever?
Yes, and Brack as well. You know, it's tough. It's tough because I mean, really, Brackenridge is one of my favorite golf courses, if not my favorite in San Antonio, just from the history. It's the birthplace, really, of the PGA Tour. If you really do your history and read about it
Yeah,
and
the
everything.
oldest public course.
Yeah, so I really love Brack. And so it's hard for me to say Willow, but there's that little asterisk there with my son. But that one had a great renovation done to it, bringing it as close to back to what its original as they could get. Willow, they did some good work there. But as far as remodels, I think I like the way they did Brack.
Well,
for the San Antonio courses.
I love playing that course. Like you stated, it's got a lot of history, and so it's very nostalgic when you see, the old shack house or the old, starter tee box at tee number 1, and then how they have the square greens. It's a great course. I love it, and I'm looking forward to playing in the tournament on Thursday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm really pumped up. Now, with all these games and your many years playing here in town, who would you say is the best cash player here in town that you've seen, or the best money player that you've seen up close and personal here in town?
Well, that's going to be hard. And honestly, I have a limited exposure as far as cash games. I've heard a lot about a lot of guys. Strangely enough, I played long before I was even really good enough to be in this tournament. I played in a city amateur tournament way back at Cedar Creek, and I got beat up. I mean, it was 2 days, and I just got killed. But I was playing with a former city amateur champion, and the guy was just so money, and gosh, I forgive me. I forget his name now. But he was, I wouldn't put money against guys these sweeps guys, there's some sweeps guys I've heard some outlandish stories about. I play a lot and watch him play Casey Carnes there with Alamo City. That
Stud.
guy, yeah, I wouldn't bet money against him. It's just, but yeah, I bet you, I'd be willing to bet you'd have more than a match with any number of those sweeps guys that play around town.
Well, now Casey, I don't think a lot of guys would play Casey anymore for money. So
not without strokes.
There you go. Yeah, you got to give a lot. He's got to give a lot. Now, who are you playing your very last round of golf with?
Okay, I would say Bobby Jones. And true amateur. I used to watch all those, the Golf Channel used to play all those old black and whites of how I play golf, or by Bobby Jones stuff. I used to just watch that stuff all the time. I loved those episodes. I remember an episode where they show him snookered by another ball. There's a ball between his ball and the hole. Did you ever see that episode?
Yeah,
and he hits that little shot. He chips that ball over that one ball into the cup. And the guy the host of the show, he had that real deep voice. Sam Sneed, he was still alive at the time, was sitting in the studio when they were showing this episode. And after they showed the episode, they cut to the two of them in the studio. They're sitting there in those chairs, like a fireside chat, right? And he goes, Sam, how many takes do you think it took Bobby to make that shot? And Sam said, I guarantee you he did it on the first take. That's just how good that guy was. So Bobby Jones, and for what this guy has done for the game of golf, I mean, you can say Jack is such a great, great guy, but Tiger in our lifetime, Tiger's the guy. I mean, they had to Tiger proof, and I know they were talking about Jack proofing courses, but they didn't do it like they did. Tiger changed the game. He brought so many people to the game.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. And my son,
the Tiger effect.
And my son was I'm a big Tiger fan. Now you go back to that Phil versus Tiger. I won money. I bet on Phil, and I won money that day.
Jerry,
even though I love Tiger, I love Tiger.
You know what, Jerry? The podcast is about to be over right now, man, because I lost a lot of respect for you right now.
I love Tiger, but I just had a feeling Phil was going to win, and somebody put some money
Yeah,
on
you
it.
know what? I agree. I agree. If I didn't, we were betting hole to hole, and go for it. Don't worry. You're good.
You know why I did it? I honestly thought it was like, I'm sorry about that. That's one of my clock, little clock going
No,
off in the
don't worry about it.
background
You're good.
on the mantle. My final group would be Bobby Jones, Tiger Woods, and my son Aaron Mulder. He's so much fun to play with. I love to watch that guy swing the club. If he gets to go and warm up the night before and dust off his clubs, that kid, it's gorgeous to watch him play. It's just he's pretty talented. But yeah, me, my son, Tiger, and Bobby Jones.
I would say that's a pretty damn good foursome to finish your last round with.
Yep, it would
Now,
make me happy.
oh man, that's awesome, dude. That is great. Now tell us
If
a
I
little
can't
bit.
get Bobby, I'll get you.
Oh, hey, I'm in. I'll be ready. My clubs are always on my truck. I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah.
My friends call me Little Caesar because I'm hot
There
and
you
ready.
go.
I'm hot and
Hot
ready.
and ready. I like that.
Okay, big tournament coming up on Thursday. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about this tournament?
Okay, we are getting together. We're going to start gathering around 12 o'clock, 12:30. We're going to start registering people for the tournament there at Brackenridge. We have a 130 shotgun. It's a two-man scramble. I've got long drive competition on holes 3 and 13. So there's two of them. I've got closest to the pin on all the par threes. We're going to do best putt on the putting green, on the practice green before we go. And if somebody doesn't get a chance to do it by the time we shotgun, then when they're making the turn, they can do it. But we're going to have some fun. We're raising some money for Alan's his wife, his partner of the last 20 years. And unfortunately, I think he thought he was going to beat this. He was young enough. He was going to beat cancer. He fought it before in his prostate or colon, I think, and beat it. So maybe that was the mindset, and he wasn't prepared. He just didn't have everything together like he needed to. So we're helping out Becky with this fundraiser. And,
well, I'm thank you for stepping up to the plate and making this happen, and for really helping out, a good person and helping out Becky. I'm looking forward to it. I know I've had several people that they formed a team because of this, because of you getting the word out. And I ran into Travis the other day at Ben's shop, and I don't know what the hell Travis was thinking, but he got his 3 wedges in bright neon orange, hot yellow, and that lime green.
I haven't seen them yet.
It is crazy.
But that's Travis. It doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah. I was just like, okay, and I introduced because I've never met him. I've seen him out here and there, and I've said hi to him, just with this 3 snake guys, with
you hadn't met Travis yet?
I hadn't met him, like, hey,
okay.
just talk to him here and there. Super good dude.
Guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a real good guy.
Yeah, he told me to get at him, for get his number through Chris, and so I'm really looking forward to it, and I appreciate what you're doing for Alan's family.
Well, we needed to make sure, and that was one of the things, like I said earlier at the beginning of this, Alan got a little close to me unexpectedly. I'm beginning to get closer to a lot of people, I think, because of that. It hurt when we lost him. But one of the things that he talked about as he was, fighting through this stuff was saying that, if something does happen, please, make sure Becky's okay. And this happened so suddenly for us, the guys out here. None of us expected this. And I talked to him 2 days prior. We were supposed to have lunch. We were going to go to lunch. And the morning that we were supposed to go to lunch, I get the phone call that he's gone. So that's how unexpected it was for us. But it's, we're never guaranteed anything. I will say this, just live your life like you want to live it. Have fun and have no regrets. And like you're doing, nobody ever stood taller than when he stooped to help a child. Remember that. So what you're doing with your kids, coaching them up. I loved coaching kids. I will always help if somebody were to ask, in that aspect. Our children are everything. And we I appreciate you for what you're doing with that, and I appreciate the Alamo City Golf Tour. We're glad that we can be a part of it. Amateur golf needs to stick around for sure
I,
in San Antonio.
I totally agree, and thank you for being a sponsor and the role you played. And you could really, I'm hoping people watch this. I'm gonna turn it into a podcast where I put on iTunes and everything of that nature. So it's gonna get out on my podcast library, and I'm hoping that they feel what I feel today. I really feel your love, your passion that you have for others and for what you do.
Well,
Uh,
and that's all we can do. A lot of people, and I hope that people understand. One, it's just like in life, in our business life. When people get to know who we are as a family, the Mulders, especially the Mulders that own Mr. Rooter of San Antonio, that they can trust us. If they've got a problem, call. Let me come out. It's not going to cost you anything to have me come out. I'm going to give you information you may not want to hear, but it's going to be the God's honest truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing about me. I don't have time for any BS and any lies and people that lie to customers or lie to people about anything in life. Let's just be good and get on with it. Play it as it lies, not lie. Yeah.
well, Jerry, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
If you wouldn't mind just staying on just for a little bit, I'm just going to do a couple of follow-up
Sure.
questions for you. But again, thank you, Jerry. Mr. Rooter, San Antonio, the title sponsor for the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour Series. Again, have a good night, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Thanks. You too.